So let's start from the point where we have discussed that where we have discussed about quarterly release. So basically, quarterly release is when quarterly release is basically when a product reaches a certain level of maturity, and when it reaches a significant milestone, and it reaches a significant milestone in the development process that is called quarterly release or first bill. That means when the product is completely ready to be deployed in the market in order to be used by the people. That is first bill and the version 1 before any kind of modification. The first, talking about the product which is freshly manufactured. Now let's move back to the point of user story. We knew that user story is being prepared by the product owner. Now let's have a look at it. There are 2 types of user story. Two types of user story. Let's point it as user story. So user story is basically written by the product owner, okay, by keeping in mind 3 crucial indicators. As a user, I want so that. As a user, what do you want and why do you want it? Why do you want gives you the answer what you want. So by keeping these 3 indicators in mind, he writes the short user story. That means the user story that you have seen, that is 50% of user story. That's not a complete user story. Now there remains in the perfect user story or in the complete user story, there are also 2 parts. And those 2 parts are known as FRS. Another one is TRS. FRS is basically functional requirement specification, whereas TRS is known as technical requirement specification. So basically the difference is functional requirement specification talks about or involves the information about the performance of the product, how satisfying it is, or how are you going to feel after you using it, and what kind of performance it's giving you along the way. So this is all about the features, the aspects that are related to the features. That is called functional requirement specification. And technical requirement specification is basically the technical aspects of the product. And sometimes it is being handled by the developer, sometimes the company, if they think it's necessary, if they consider it necessary, they hire some technical business analysts to take care of this part. So technical requirement specification is basically the technical aspects, such as what kind of ingredients were used to, what kind of ingredients had been used to prepare this pen, what kind of material, what kind of plastic had been used for the body of the pen, how many inches it will be. So these are the technical aspects that are known as TRS, technical requirement specification, and being handled by the developer or the technical business analyst. Write this part or take care of this part. Now, let's dive deep into it. So as we were talking about the 50% user story, now we're gonna get we will be looking at a perfect user story. This is called the perfect user story. Okay. All right. Food. So basically, this is the perfect user story. So you see, in the perfect story, we get to see the 3 parts. What are those 3 parts? One is user story, another one is scenario and acceptance criteria. So we must keep this in mind. The perfect user story has 3 parts. Now, this is basically the business requirement specification as it's created by the business analyst. You can ask me, what does it contain? It is basically a detailed report of a project, that detailed requirement of a project in order to make that successful. And it also contains users' needs and expectations. All right. So basically, what I'm trying to say that this whole part is concerned about the user's needs and expectation. It's a detailed report or document for the project in order to make it successful. Now, you see, this is a feature. For example, as a user, let's just look into it. Just dive deeper into it. Look very closely. As a user, I want to use a pen with a transparent cap so that I can see the color of the pen while easily. So while writing this, the product owner was focused and describing the feature. It was describing the capacity, or it was describing the feature that needs to be tested. For example, the transparent cap needs to be tested. And why do you want this transparent cap? So that you can see the color of the pen easily. So there is a purpose, there is a reason. So it is describing the reason and it's telling you what should be tested, what you need to test in this regard. So the feature in this part always describes the ability that are need to be tested. The abilities that are need to be tested. Now let's have a look at the scenario. So you see, this part, I need to remove this part. Wait. So here, you see here, given, then, when, then. So this is written in a certain format, the scenario. All right. The scenario is basically what needs to be tested and outlines the objectives of the testing. And typically the scenario is basically derived from the user story. So it outlines the it outlines the objectives of the testing, and it tells you what needs to be tested. And there's a certain format that we use. We will be coming back to that point later on. First of all, let's go through this. Given the pen has a transparent cap, then the pen has color in the body. When the user places the cap on the body, then the user should be able to see the color of the pen through the cap. So it is already telling you what are the objectives of testing, what you need to test. So basically, given describes the precondition setup. So it is already telling you what condition it is, what condition the thing or the product is in. The product that we are talking about, given it is precondition that it's already precondition the setup of the previous setup, the setup that it already has, the current state of it. Then let's talk about then. Then is basically the pen has a transparent cap. Okay, I will come to this point later on. First of all, let's come here. When the user places the cap on the pen, so you see then the pen has the color in the body. When the user places the cap on the body, so it is basically describes the action that taken. This is an action which has been taken by the end user. Then what happens? The user should be able to see the color of the pen through the cap. So we are talking about the, sorry, let's write it over here. So here we are talking about the expected result. So this specific particular format is known as Gherkin format. So what is Gherkin format? Gherkin format is a plain text language or a domain-specific language which is used to write the acceptance criteria as well as the test case scenarios so that the non-technical people can understand it. So business people, they have dearth of technical knowledge. They don't have much knowledge about the technicalities, but they can, when they will read it out, they will understand what will be or what is the objective of the testing. So it is basically written in a plain text language so that the non-technical people can understand, and we must follow this format, or not we, basically the business analyst must follow this format while writing the business requirement specification BRS. Now, then we have the third part, and we know that is acceptance criteria. So now, there is something that I want to ask, that when can we say that a product is successful? When can we say that? We can say that a product is successful we can say that a product is successful when it meets the requirements of acceptance criteria. So now you can ask me, what is this acceptance criteria? Acceptance criteria is basically contains or it defines your product. I mean, it is a set of conditions. It is a set of conditions that must be satisfied for producing that product, for that product. All right. We use it to improve the quality of the product, and it is defined. It is a set of conditions that must be satisfied for the product. So when an acceptance, when we can satisfy, when we can fulfill the acceptance criteria, then it is crystal clear. We can take it or we can accept that the product is, we have reached that standard. We have the boundary that we have set, or the aim that we targeted, it is accomplished. When you can execute the acceptance, we can execute the requirements of the acceptance criteria, then it is we can take that as 99% that our mission is successful. Okay. So we understood now these three parts and how these three parts works. So here I will come to this part again. I'll come to this part again, but I want to talk about something very important now. In order to go forward, we must understand a process. So here, we all knew about the differences between, we all learned about the differences between the project manager and product owner. So here, project manager is assigned for an important work. So project manager hires different task forces, different members of the Scrum. I mean, the team members or the team that is needed or required for the assistant of all these IT activities. Okay, just think about this as a whole for complete a complete task force or a complete task team. All right. So the task force members so the task force or the task team okay, so wait for a while. So the task team comprises of some members. So comprises some members, and I'm talking about that. I mean that advisory group, that working group, that project manager hires. All right. So the project manager hires testers, developers, and architects. So just think about a building. When you need to build a building, you need developers to develop the building, but you cannot proceed until you have a design of the building. For making the designs, you need the architects, right? You need the architects. Then comes the testers. When it is built and prepared, then you need testers, whether everything is working fine or not. So we have departmental heads for all of these departments. Testers, the testers have a test lead. Then the developers has another lead, and the architects are fine. They just provide the design documents. We will it's okay. For now it's okay that if we know that architects only work with the design documents. They provide designs to the developers build it, and the tester test the product or the software. If it's working, fine. So there are two types of testers. One is manual testers. Another one is automation testers. So they have test leads. Sometimes they can have manual test lead and automation test lead. So their departmental head is test lead. Whenever they encounters any difficulties or issues directly, they will come back to the test lead. So for them, he is going to be the one-man solution. And developers, there is also a developer's lead who is known as technical lead. Okay. Technical lead is the departmental head of developers. Then we have another higher power authority in terms of hierarchy. In terms of hierarchy, somebody holds higher position than the test lead, and he is QA manager. Test lead will be accountable to him if he makes if anything goes south, if he makes any mistakes, or if any slip up takes place by him, the QA lead will remain accountable to the QA manager. So this is the whole testing department, and this whole testing department is hired by the project manager. Let me do it a bit more clearly for you so that you make it so that it makes a clear vision in your mind. So, for example, this is the whole tasting department. Let's come from here. QA manager, then test lead, then testers, let's have a look at it. Automation testers, then manual testers. Then here are the developers, whose departmental head is. Technical lead. So that's it. Okay. Do you see QA manager? He is the most senior post. He has the most senior post. Then test lead. Then here comes the test lead. Test lead is basically the lead of the testers. All right. He's the lead of the testers. Then we have another lead. Okay. So QA manager is the senior post. Test lead is the departmental head of the testers. And we know that we have two kinds of testers, automation testers and manual testers. Then comes another departmental head who is known as technical lead, and technical lead is basically the departmental head of developers. All right.